Well, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here and for taking your time to want to be here with me today and to talk about how you and I can better parent on purpose this year and beyond. I'm Amy Carney. I am the author of Parent on Purpose. I'm a writer, a speaker, product maker, helping parents raise their children with more joy and purpose. So I couldn't be more excited to be with you as we kick off this new year. And we have got so much to cover in a short amount of time here. So we're going to get started and dive right in to why is it so hard for us, though? Why is it so hard for us to parent on purpose? Why is it hard for us to raise our children and live our lives intentionally? I mean, many times we have a child or two, three, or four, like was in my case, and we just dive right into motherhood and into fatherhood without ever giving much thought into what in the world we're doing, right? We react our way through taking care of our children and doing certain things. But I want to talk to you about parenting on purpose, putting more thought behind what it is we're doing. And I'm going to help show you how I've done that in my life and how I can help you do that as well. So first, let's tackle why. There's many reasons why it's very difficult for us to parent on purpose. And I like to use this visual when I do my talks out in the community, showing just us being Americans in today's society can be overwhelming, right? This is a photo I took in our local mega grocery store, just walking down the cereal aisle. I mean, it's ridiculous how many choices we have of a simple breakfast cereal to choose from, right? And I think this photo just kind of shows exactly how society is for us so much of the time. We have so many choices coming at us. A lot of them are good, but a lot of them we just get so overwhelmed that we just pick something and we just keep trudging through the aisle or the day. So we spend a lot of our time overwhelmed in parenting today. We also spend a lot of time looking like this, don't we? We are busy, right? And so many times we're rushing around trying to tackle all the things that we have on our calendar. We wear so many hats, right? And so it's no wonder that it's hard to parent on purpose when we're rushing around looking like this on many of the days. But as you can see, it's impossible to parent on purpose when we're living lives like this. Next, it's hard to parent on purpose when we are focused on the wrong goals much of the time. Now, those of you with young children aren't quite there yet, but I'm sure you see it with friends or family members. Those of us with older children, we all of a sudden start spending our days sitting on the sidelines of our child's lives as they live out their passions and their organized activities. And before you know it, our family story can be consumed by these activities and we are just missing out. So, how can we better parent on purpose when our children are involved in all these activities? We also can get wrongly focused on performance and achievement, right? Our culture loves performance and achievement, and we can fall easily into that trap as well. So we've got to be cautious about focusing on the wrong goals of our kids' activities, their performance, and achievement. It's hard to parent on purpose if we're focused on just these worldly goals. And then lastly, yep, we're distracted. I think we all know that, right? We are distracted by our screens, so much technology. But I think we need to realize that technology is a good thing. It can be a great thing. I mean, we're here together because of technology, right? But it's our habits and time spent on screens and the way we're using them in our homes and our families that keep us from parenting on purpose, right? And we've got to acknowledge that. So it's extremely hard to parent on purpose when we are overwhelmed, when we are so busy, when we are focused on the wrong goals, and we're distracted. So, despite all these things, though, I know that we can still parent on purpose despite our circumstances or what it is we have going on in our lives. We've just got to make a proactive plan to raise our kids and live our lives with more purpose. So that's what I'm here to talk to you about today, the 5 ways to parent on purpose in 2024 and beyond. But before we get started, I just want to remind us all of what Proverbs 16:9 says, that a man's heart plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps. So we're going to talk all about planning right now, and a reminder that the Lord will direct our steps, and they will look differently, right? What he has called our family to do is going to be different than what you're called to do. So when I use personal examples, that does not mean that is what you are being called to do. It's just examples, okay? So 5 ways that we can parent on purpose. Number 1, we have to visualize the end. Okay. It is really important that we stop reacting our way through every day and take a look at the end of full time parenthood. Full time parenthood is a season. And I like to use this visual of the Jenga game. And it's actually what I based my book, Parent on Purpose, on. But I keep this visual in my office. You can see it, a colorful Jenga right behind me here, because I think it's the perfect visual for the season of full time parenthood. I don't know if you know, but Jenga is 18 layers stacked on top of one another. And I'm sure you didn't know that, because why would you need to? But it's a perfect example of how each year we are piling on another level onto raising our child until, guess what? There's an end, right? This tower is not never ending. It has an end to it. And so we need to visualize that end when we are launching our child into adulthood. What does that look like? What do we want it to look like? How do we want to feel at that time? I knew that I was going to be launching my first 4 children all within 1 year. And so I had to figure that out a little earlier, because I knew when I got to that point, this stage, exactly where I'm at living at now, that it was going to be really difficult. And I did not want to feel sadness, guilt, and regret. So I needed to step back, visualize that in now, and begin to parent on purpose toward that. Another visual I like to use in my talks, if you've heard me in person, you've probably seen this slide, but I think this is another great visual for us, because we would never get on a boat and just let the current take us where it may, right? Although when I'm looking at that right now, I think I might jump in that boat today and let that current take me wherever it might, because that looks pretty beautiful compared to what a lot of us are living with right now. But no, seriously though, we would never get in a boat and just let the current take us where it may. No, we would pick up our oars and we will paddle toward our destination, right, of where we want to go. The problem is, many of us have not claimed our destination or where it is that we're headed today when raising our kids. So I want to encourage you to start there. Visualize the end. What do you want that to look like? Who is the adult you want to launch from your home? And what do you want them to be able to look back and say about growing up in your family and your home? Now, we are not going for perfection at all. That is impossible. Nothing that we, are even striving toward. We are just striving to slow down and raise our kids on purpose. So aim for adulthood. The end of that Jenga tower is the goal for all of us. Whether you are raising little ones, who I know several of you that are on this stream just have toddlers, right? And you're at that very beginning stage of the tower. And then there's other of you on here who have high schoolers. You have teenagers in high school, and you are seeing the launch, the inevitable launch, right there in front of you. I know that feeling, right? I know exactly what you're feeling. It's bittersweet as you get closer and closer to the end of that tower, as you wonder if you've done enough before you launch your children. So take the time to visualize the end. Next, what you need to do second is you need to claim your core values. Who is the person you are trying to raise? And what do you want your family to be known for? The problem is, many times we say certain values or virtues are important to us, and we believe that to be true, but we somehow struggle to live it out. And our children see that, right? They see that we say certain things are important, yet we don't exactly live it out. So as parents, we might say that compassion and empathy are values that we hold near and dear, but yet are we serving others is the last thing we put on our calendar sometimes, right? We only put serving others on our calendar after we've got all of our organized activities and other scheduled things already written in. And so our kids see that, yes, we might care about others, but they do come after our activities, and we fit it in um, after all of our organized activities. So maybe gratitude is something that you deem essential. Then, but are you having your kids write handwritten thank you notes to send to loved ones after they give gifts or done something in their life? So I'm just giving you a couple examples, because what I deem most important in our family might differ from you. So you've got to claim your core values, because if we want our children to learn pertinent values, then we have to take the time to teach them. We can't just talk about them. We've got to live them and teach them. So I wrote something in my book that I want to just touch on here. I wrote a line that says, "A strong character is sustaining, a strong resume is not. Therefore, we must raise children focused on who they are instead of what they do." And I think that we saw this in 2020, right? So my firstborn triplets were 2020 high school graduates. And we all know what happened to our high school grads in 2020, right? They missed out on a lot of things that were really important to them. And it was very difficult time, but it was really a time where we saw that what we do can be stripped away from us at any time, right? I think we all experience that. And our kids experience that. My son that worked so hard academically to get all the tassels and all the ribbons and all the things never got to even wear them. They never came out of the package, right? So I think we were able to have a lot of conversations and see that, yes, we cannot be raising our children based on strengthening their resume, but instead strengthening their character. So we want to visualize the end. We want to slow down and claim our core values. And if you have my book, pull it back out, because in the appendix, I've got a list of 92 values and virtues that you can look through. Pick 5 or 6 and decide what are the most important values for your family. How do you want to start teaching those and living those out today? Okay, next, we are going to go to number 3. Determine your parenting and family goals, okay? You need to slow down. All too often in our businesses and in our companies, we develop these mission statements, these strategic plans. We spend a lot of time focusing on how we want to make things successful in our companies and businesses, but yet we don't do that in our families. And I say, why not? We should absolutely be doing that in our families once in a while. I ended up creating a printable workbook, and maybe you have it, maybe you don't, but it is a roadmap to parent on purpose in 2024 and beyond. And it's a fantastic way for you to get clear on your parenting and family goals. It also lists the values and virtues list is also in there. But the most important thing I think about this 10-page workbook is that it has different questions helping you figure out your parenting goals. It's got important questions with helping you figure out what you want, what you don't want. And I found that it was easier for me to start out with what I do not want, right? One of the questions that says, I don't want a family who. How can you finish that? I will not raise children who. So it goes on to and it really gets you thinking about, what is it you don't want? What is it you do want, and how can you live that out? One example I'll give you is I answered, I will not raise children who are entitled. Okay. There's probably not one of us that wants to raise an entitled child. That is probably none of our goals. I can guarantee it's none of our goals. But yet we have a generation of entitled children. It's rampant. Entitlement is rampant. And even in us as adults. So if we say we don't want to raise entitled children, how can we live that out? And that leads me to our next topic, which is number 4, you need to make deliberate decisions. How will you live out what you said to be important to you despite your busy life, despite your circumstances, right? We all have different things coming at us in different situations. We've got to be able to make deliberate, bold, courageous decisions based on that vision we have of the end, based on our core values, and based on the parenting and family goals that we're setting for ourselves. So if I answer that question, right, and I said, I don't want to raise entitled children, well, how am I going to do that? What does that look like? Right. And so that's where we've got to start figuring out how we're going to live it out. So in our home, let's say we have an expectation where our kids start working in the community. They start working and earning money at the age of 15, 16, whenever they can go get a job, they do. So that way they can start contributing to that expensive cell phone that they have, or to the gas in their car that they're driving, or those leggings or shoes that they want, right? There's so many material items out there that our kids want these days that it's really important that they learn to earn money and start contributing to these things. So that's one way that we have tried to not raise entitled children. And then you've got to figure out what that looks like for you. And one strategy that I like to give parents to, whether you have toddlers or you have teenagers, is parent 6 years ahead. I talk about this in my book. I talk about this in a lot of my talks, and parent 6 years ahead. So what that looks like is our youngest is 12, and maybe someone on here also has a 12-year-old. But 6 years from now, that means 18. That means we are at the end of that Jenga tower. Things look very different in life with a 12-year-old versus an 18-year-old. Well, we don't want to get caught when they're 16. All of a sudden, there's all these decisions coming at them, right? How do you feel about dating in your family, or working, or driving, or all of the rites of passage that come with being a 16-year-old? You want to get ahead of that now. You want to start looking ahead at what parents are facing. If you have a 2-year-old, that means you're looking at an 8-year-old. What does it look like for families with an 8-year-old, right? Well, that's school, and that's, different sleepovers or different things. That's even cell phones nowadays. Start looking at that and figure out, what do you want for your family? What do you want for your children? And you're going to have to make some hard, bold decisions. I'm telling you, it's not easy to parent on purpose, because sometimes it feels very lonely when you're making decisions for your family or for your child that no one else seems to be making. When you're deciding not to give your child a cell phone, when everyone else around you seems to be, it's very difficult to do that unless you have claimed your goals, right? Unless you know your values and you can stand firm on your foundation and what you know to be true. So parenting 6 years ahead is a great strategy to get you thinking now about the future. If the end is too far, then parent 6 years ahead and start looking at that and start planning for that time frame, so you don't get caught off guard, that you're not reacting your way through, but that you can already envision that time period and know how you would better like things to go, and then be flexible along the way. But it's best we don't just react our way through, and then all of a sudden they're a teenager and you're reacting and telling them, no, you're not going on that party bus. And then it creates conflict, because what? That has never been talked about in our family. What do you mean I'm not going on the party bus? Or whatever it is, whatever that is for your family, get ahead of it. Parent 6 years ahead so that you can make important, deliberate decisions for your family. And then lastly, measure your success. It's super important. It's vital that you don't just do all these things without measuring how well it's going. How's things going in your family? You can stop right now and tonight, start thinking about, how are things going in our family? Pause and get clear on that. In my book, and at the end of every chapter, I have a section that says pause, pivot, and plan, because I think it's constant in parenting, when you're parenting on purpose, that we take time to pause and think about how things are going, what's working, what's not working. And then we pivot, right? We pivot and maybe we need to head a different direction. And I think that's constant throughout raising our children. And it's okay. It's you can pivot at any time. You can pivot tonight, right? You can decide that something isn't working. Something came to mind, uh, when you're watching this video and you want to make change. And one of the best ways that I think to do that is by holding family meetings. That's something that has worked in our family, and it's something that I highly recommend. It's something that I write about on my blog, and you can easily go to my website and see that. I will put that up now. My website's just my name, and you can put in the search bar family meetings, and a couple blogs will probably come up, and you'll be able to see what that looks like, give you ideas on how to do that. It's something you can hold weekly. It's something you can hold monthly, or you can throw it together whenever you feel it's necessary. But it's really important, I think, for you to come together as a family and talk about what's working in your family currently, and then talk about what's not working, right? I think, screen time, let's acknowledge, is it working? Is it not? Do we need to create better habits, better boundaries for ourselves? Most of us do, right? When it comes to technology in our home, but that's something you can discuss around the family table. You can go on your phones, pull up that screen time, and everybody talk about how much screen time they are actually using, and make goals, to better that for yourself. But it's vital. You can talk about bedtime routine, Sunday mornings. I don't know, homework, whatever you're struggling with, maybe in your family, or where you feel the need to pivot. That this is a great way to do that, is to hold regular family meetings. And it's something that just becomes a part of your family culture, and something that your kids grow up with, and knowing that you're going to come together as a team and conversate, discuss. And it's a great way also to strengthen sibling relationships, which I think is really necessary in this busy culture. We're all racing around and super, super busy. So 5 ways to parent on purpose. Hopefully that has given you some ideas, but I have my workbook, like I said, the roadmap to parent on purpose in 2024 and beyond, to help you lay out a plan for your family. And it's something that was vital to me because I am busy. I'm a mom of 6, right? We did adopt 2 children not too long ago out of foster care here in Arizona. And so I'm still going with 4 in college and a 17-year-old and a 12-year-old. But I have to sit down sometimes and just pause my busy life and pivot and make a pivot. But it's hard to do that. And this workbook I designed for myself and as a way to help you as well. And since you got on here with me tonight and you stuck with me till the end, I am offering you this for 50% off in my store. It's normally $9.99. And for a limited time, it is $5. It's $5 for you to jump on and grab this, whether you feel like you're in a place that you can actually do this well or not yet. Go ahead and grab it while it's on sale. Print it off, and then do it with your spouse. Do it with your friend. Take some time away and do it alone, and just start to figure out how you can better parent on purpose this year and beyond. So you can screenshot. You can take that QR code, will lead you right to it, or you can go to bit.ly/POP Roadmap, stands for Parent on Purpose Roadmap. And hopefully you're following me if you're on social media. Hopefully you're following me on Instagram or Facebook. I do have a private Facebook group, Parent on Purpose, where we are live streaming into that group right now as well. And so I just want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be with me and to want to better parent on purpose, whether you have a toddler or a teenager, because it's so important. And so thank you so much for being here today. If you want to get a hold of me or you have questions based on what I talked about today, you can message me on social media, or you can email me at amy@amycarney.com. So let's get out there and parent on purpose together.